Everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to discussing this topic with you. I think disinformation is something that I feel quite strongly about, and I hope you do too. So let's get started. So, first, we're going to start talking about information in general. We're living in a time where we're exposed to more information every single day than ever before, and it's constant. It used to be that you would have to wait for the news to be on television when I was younger, which admittedly was a while ago now, but you had to wait till 11 o'clock to watch the news, or you had to wait for a newspaper to be published to know what was happening in the world. And people used to write letters or wait until a cheaper time of day to phone long distance on a landline telephone. But now, the internet and particularly mobile technology means that news can reach you instantly through a push notification on your phone. You don't even have to go looking for it. So, what are we talking about here? There's a difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is false. They're both false, right? But misinformation is false information that's not intended to cause harm. So maybe it's a mistake because we all make mistakes, right? A typo, a mistake with a number, satire or parody. And both of those are making fun of things, for example, rumors, insults, or sponsored content where you don't maybe realize it's sponsored content. So we all make mistakes, even news broadcasters and newspapers. And satire and parody make fun of a situation. So you might see these two in political cartoons or comedians' acts where someone pretends to be a public figure to make fun of them or something they've said. And a newer form of misinformation is sponsored content that isn't obvious that it's sponsored. So it's an advertisement for something, but you don't realize that's what it is. Whereas disinformation is false information that's meant to manipulate opinions or cause damage or to guide people in the wrong direction. For example, maybe a scam, like somebody who said they were from HMRC called me the other day about my taxes. That was definitely a scam. Hoaxes, impersonation of someone, or at worst, radicalization, which is when someone starts to believe or support extreme views, usually against a specific group of people. And then in some cases, they act on those extreme views because of disinformation. So climate disinformation in particular has changed. Today, we're going to talk about misinformation and disinformation, particularly with regard to climate change, because it's something that in our work we have seen quite a bit, and it's a good example. Of course, misinformation and disinformation can happen in other places too. You might have seen during COVID-19, for example, or in politics or in other areas of life, there is disinformation there too, but we're going to concentrate on climate change. And the reason for this is our work, obviously, but also because climate disinformation has changed quite a bit. It used to be that you would just see outright denial. It's very obvious that what that is. Climate change isn't happening, or if it is, it isn't caused by human activity. And it's quite obvious to spot that is disinformation because it just says it's just straight denial, and that is very clear. But nowadays, we're seeing more disinformation in terms of delay. So taking action on climate change might cause harm, or taking action on climate change isn't my responsibility. Or greenwashing, which is claiming to take more action on climate change than you actually are, or claiming that a product is more environmentally friendly than it is. Try an example. We'll start with an easy one. What do you think is wrong with this post that I found on Twitter? It might be obvious from the username, their opinions on climate change. But what do you think of this? Climate warming has not happened here in Colorado yet this winter. Clear blue skies and lots of snow. If you don't know, Colorado is a state in the United States. We know they're talking about Colorado, but we don't know if that's where they are all the time. I'll give you a small hint so that we can try another example too. Just because we have snow does not mean that climate change is not happening, right? We don't call it global warming anymore. We used to, but that's kind of a misleading title because that doesn't mean that everywhere is warming at the same rate all the time. Climate change and weather are not the same thing. So